Hi everybody, my name is Alex Murkve, Mr. Murkve. This is my 10th year teaching at Princeton, holy cow. And I teach AP Calculus and Math Analysis, and also Intermediate Algebra, and also AP Computer Science. And I've also taught Advanced Algebra once. I also taught a Digital Electronics course once upon a time too, but anyway, lots of stuff. Well, that is a good question, Jake Riba. And I don't know how seriously people are taking answers to this question, but I actually, the person who has inspired me the most throughout my life would probably be people like Steve Irwin and David Attenborough, people like that. I don't know if anyone watching this has ever seen some of Steve Irwin's stuff on TV, The Crocodile Hunter. He's the guy that says, "Oh, crikey, what a beauty." And I just love that he's so excited to show people something that a lot of people think maybe doesn't matter or they didn't think really was that interesting, and he just is really excited to share that part of his life with those people. And yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting that you ask that, Jake, because my favorite memory of you is actually someone else's memory. And it's a story that he told a couple of years ago that's just always stuck with me. I never experienced it, but we were on the New York trip, and we were, it was after we were doing like a drive-through like tour of different boroughs of New York City. Mr. Mo was telling me this, by the way, and we get to the end, and your guys' tour guide, I think, had a very thick New York accent.
Yes, absolutely.
And Mr. Mo told me that at the end, when everybody was tired and ready to get off the bus, you like stretch and go, "Coffee!" like that.
Yes.
And that's when you got up. And he just heard that from the back of the bus, and he just busted out laughing. And that, to me, that is like classic Jake Ruba. So, yeah.
We still make jokes about that. There's another New York story. It was, we were entering Pennsylvania, and there was a sign that said Danville, and I was like, I looked out the window and saw that. I was like, Danville, that's where Phineas and Ferb live. And Mo heard that, and he was like, oh my gosh, and then posted it on the Twitter page later.
All right.
So yeah, he didn't credit me, which I'm a little upset about, Mr. Mo.
Well, did you copyright it?
Oh, dang it, I should have.
Yeah, see, that was your mistake.
Well, I'll do it next time. Well, actually, this is one of Clark's questions that she was like, hey, we need some questions to ask them, and I was like, that's not how this works, but okay, I'll go with it. One of my favorite memories of you probably has to be walking in here, because I had you sophomore year.
Yes.
For intermediate algebra, because I failed freshman year. Woohoo, yeah. So I retook it with you and got an A-, which was like night and day from a year's difference time. So, which I account to both you and me being older at that time.
Yeah, I do remember that you were much more, you were at that point a pretty well-established student, and you knew what you needed to do.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But my favorite memory of you is walking in here the first test and you just having your hat, your orange and black tiger striped hat, and everyone was like, what's happening right now? And you're just like, yeah, it's test day. Come on, you guys know this. It's test day. And we're like, yeah, but what about the hat? And you're just like, yeah. That's just my test hat. Yeah. You know, it's just a test hat.
I mean, I've got it. So,
you got it right there. It's right there.
Yeah, I'm going to get out.
Hey, go grab it, yeah.
It's been hard to do that this year a little bit just because a lot of the tests have been, over distance learning. But, yeah. It's my celebration hat because most years I try to call my hats or my tests celebrations.
Oh, yes. I remember that, too.
Yeah.
That was good. So that's probably my favorite memory of you. You gonna wear that the rest of the interview?
Yeah.
Please do.
We'll see. We'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
So my answer to this, I don't want to address it to just the freshmen, because I think this is something good to know no matter what level of learning you're at, whether you're a high school student or whether you are jetting off to college or whether you're graduating college or something like that. I think I just want people to know that no matter how boring or uninteresting you think something is, there's always someone out there that thinks that that thing is the most interesting thing in the world. And what I think is a really fun mental exercise is just like to try to see it through that person's eyes, like even for a moment. Like, why do they find this thing so interesting? Like, where's the mystery here? Why is it so fantastic? And just try to authentically see it. Don't just go, oh, no, it's really boring, they're wrong. Like, try to actually see it the way that they do, like the way that Steve Irwin sees reptiles, or the way that David Attenborough sees literally all of nature. It's just, I think that's probably the best way to become positive about your own learning and become more involved in your education and what you're actually learning in school.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There it is again. Look at me. Wow.
Okay, so this school year has definitely been kinda difficult, not gonna lie, but I do remember one particular part. It was the day before winter break, and at that point, if you guys remember, we had been, like distance learning for a few weeks at least at that point. And we were all kind of tired. We were all like ready for winter break to get here so that we could relax for a little bit. And I had worked really hard up until that point. I had this activity that I wanted to do in my AP Calculus classes, and I was trying to encourage them to get them to where they wanted to go. And it was just, again, it was just that last day, and I was trying to do my best. And at the beginning of class, all the students had their cameras off, which didn't surprise me because that's how like every Zoom class goes. Yeah. And then at a certain point, someone unmuted and said, "Mr. Murkve, we have something that we wanted to tell you." And then they all turned their cameras on and they held up these little like thank you signs, and that was entirely unexpected, a complete surprise to me, and it really meant a lot and gave me a lot of energy going into the winter break there. So it was it was really nice.
That's nice. Yeah. It's nice to know that you have an impact on a group of kids like that, and
yes,
they can do that without you telling them to be like, "Hey, hold up signs right now. Tell me how much you love me." That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy, Jacob Grillitz, because the tuba can be disassembled like a transformer and worn like a costume.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Could we get a picture of one of those? I'll have to find that on Google.
Yeah, Billy, pull that up.
Yeah, Billy, come on. Yeah. Editing, Jake. You got it. I know you got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Right.
He's got it. He'll be fine.
Well, it'll come out in post. So my first year, I got to teach some interesting things. I taught a lot of 9th grade intermediate algebra. I also taught a course called Digital Electronics, which I mentioned before, and that jumps out to me the most as like the highlight of my first year. It was a completely new course to the school, completely new course to me, completely new course to the students, and we just got to like be there together and learn about how electronics work, like how to design circuit boards to do certain functions for us, and how to design like logic gates and like do wiring on a breadboard and design timers and things of that nature. So it was just a lot of really nerdy stuff, and the class was full of a lot of nerds, and it was really fun to just like joke with them and have that be just a fun environment to, I don't know, just experience something completely new.
Yeah. That does sound like an interesting class.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh, whatever happened to that class?
Okay, so that class was, it was a part of a program called Project Lead the Way, which we had here at the high school, 10 through 6 years ago or so. But then once we moved away from Project Lead the Way, because I'm not sure. I think it might have been budgetary restrictions or something like that. Once we moved away from that program, we still offered the course, but then my support for it, like the support that I was offered through Project Lead the Way, just kind of cratered, and I didn't really have, updated curriculum. I didn't have a good way to order supplies anymore. So towards the end there, like it was just kind of running on empty, and we couldn't get people to enroll in it. So it just kind of lacked support once we didn't have Project Lead the Way now.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can resurrect a version of it in the future. Or if people enroll in AP Computer Science, we can also do something like that.
Is that a plug?
No, I'm just stating the fact.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I interpreted this question before as like insane stories about school in general, and I was going to regale all y'all with the story of back when I was a student at UW-Madison. I was living at home at the time, and my parents would always like drive me into campus on the days, because they had to go and drive into work, so they would drop me off at campus on the way. It would save gas, but they would always drop me off super early because they had to work early. My first class was at 8 o'clock, and they would drop me off at 6:30. So I had an hour and a half to kill in the mornings on campus, and I was super tired, and there was like nothing to do. So I would just find like a quiet place or a quiet building, and I would just lay down on the floor and sleep. Like in the middle of these buildings on campus. And one time, I think I was in the middle of a dream or something like that, and I got woken up by a police officer who wanted to see my student ID and wondered what I was doing there. And I just had to tell him that I was tired and I was sleeping before class. And that's actually something that I did a lot of. If I had like a spare half an hour before a class started, I'd just lay down in the hallway and sleep. But anyway, yeah, that's my insane story.
That's fantastic.
Working from home was a challenge. I like the idea of working from home, but I hate actually working from home. So this year, I actually tried to minimize the amount of time I spent working from home altogether. Even during distance learning, I would come into my classroom pretty much every day, because my classroom is where I feel the most like a teacher and where I can actually get teacherly things done. Last spring, working from home, it went okay, but I didn't really feel like a teacher. I felt like a grading monkey, if that makes sense. Like I would just record videos, send them out, and then people would do the assignments, maybe, and then turn them in, and I'd grade them. And I didn't feel like a teacher at all. And I would host office hours, like in case people wanted to ask questions, but as any teacher will tell you during that time, like no one ever came to the office hours. And it was just a bummer. Like last spring, it was really difficult to feel like the actions that I was doing at home were having an impact on students. So it just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for that reason, and I tried to change that as much as I could for this year.
Yeah. That's a good mindset to have on that, and just keep positive on that.
Yeah. What was I like in high school? So everybody has a little bit of a rebellious streak when they're a teenager, and it just kind of pops out a little bit differently depending on their personality. I know that for me, I was always sort of like a secretly hard worker, if that makes sense. My parents would always say that I wouldn't often come home with homework to do at home, and that's because most of the time I would do all my homework like between classes or before school or after school or during work time or things like that, so that I just fine. But I did genuinely enjoy learning quite a bit, and that's mainly because I really liked asking questions of people and just kind of challenging them, but not in a disrespectful way. Just being like, okay, why do you think that? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think teenage me was kind of annoying in that respect, because I never dropped that persona even for a second. but I kind of mellowed out quite a bit as I went into my 20s, and now I'm 32. So, yeah. So I guess I would say, yeah, just hardworking, and also someone who kind of questioned things a little bit. I'm gonna say right now, I didn't really break a whole lot of rules, so sorry guys. Like, I rebelled and I questioned, but I also didn't. I kind of towed the line most of the time. So yeah,
It didn't really go anywhere.
No, and I always did it in a respectful way. Like, I just wanted to know more things about either what that person thought, or like trying to challenge an assumption that they had and learn more for myself. But I wasn't trying to, cause trouble or anything like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay. So I was actually thinking about this earlier as part of Teacher Appreciation Week, because I got a package in my mailbox downstairs Monday afternoon, actually. It was from Amazon, and I thought, like, what the heck did I order from Amazon? Send it to the school for, answered nothing. And I was like, what could this be? So I took it up to my classroom and I opened it. And it was a book. It was a book about calculus that someone had written about its applications to other things. And it turns out the person who sent it to me was my old high school calculus teacher, who she just sent out like well wishes to me because she knows that I'm a teacher as we kind of finish out this year. And the thing that made me want to become a teacher then was actually her class. So I had, for most of my life, I had been pretty good at math. First grade me would disagree with that. I was not good at math in first grade, but I got progressively better as time went on. But I never really found it exciting or interesting or anything like that until I got to AP Calculus in 11th grade, and my teacher, Miss Chin, did a really fantastic job of just showing us like why this subject, calculus, but math in general, was so beautiful, and why it had all these meaningful things to say about the world around us and how to best live life and how it can apply to the sciences and philosophy and history. And I really appreciated that, and it just kind of opened my eyes to all of mathematics and what it could be. And I remember distinctly thinking to myself one day in calculus, I was like, man, I really like going home and just like explaining these things to my parents and friends. It's really fun. What if there's a job where I can like explain And then it hit me like a half a second later. Oh, okay, I should just be a math teacher. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And like from that moment on, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to UW-Madison. I'm going to get a degree in math education, and I want to eventually become a calculus teacher teaching AP Calculus. And that was my path, and I didn't deviate from it for a second from that moment.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I that just the amount of dedication that you have, just in general for you, it's amazing.
Thank you.
I have to say, just like thank you personally. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It means a lot. I want the people watching this. I don't know who's watching this right now. I don't even know why Jake is recording this.
I don't even know why I'm recording this.
But I just want to say, like, all of us teachers here at the high school, we come in here every day and we just try to do our best to do right by you guys, and we really appreciate it when people come and say, you know what, that was actually really interesting, and I appreciate the work that you did, and it's nice to hear that.
Yes. And yes, it is Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah.
And I have to say, out of the many teachers that I have had, even just the one trimester I had you for, you were by far the greatest teacher I've had in high school.
Well, thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the final question that I have is why, not why, where am I going with this? I know where I'm going with this. So you've now gone through this process, the wonderful interview where I film you for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice to the other teachers who will be going through this process?
My advice to the other teachers? Well, I'd say do your homework, guys. Read the freaking questions and think about answers to the questions that you know Jacob Ruba is going to ask. because I'll tell you this, if there's anything that Jacob Ruba despises, it is an unprepared interviewee.
That is why I have to refilm Miss Clark's tomorrow. That's great, yeah. We went in there and I was like, "You ready?" And she's like, "We're doing that today?" And I was like, "Yep, we're doing that today."
Oh, I didn't even
Sorry.
know that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
This is where we'd shake hands, but obviously this is.
Well, we can.
This thing's that. Yes. Edit it together. So where we're. Or wait, like. Yeah.
Wait.
Yep.
No.
Oh, oh yes, we're doing it. Well, that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay.
So thank you again. Yes. I'm gonna go get up and.